everyone. This is 1.2b operational definition. This is Ms. Desario, and I am going to talk today about what operational definition is of a research study. I decided to do a separate video for this specifically because I found that students have a little bit of difficulty and it's better to teach it using examples. So we're going to go through a few examples today, and let's go ahead and get started.
Okay, so what is operational definition, or what does operational definition mean? It is a carefully worded statement of the exact procedures used in a research study. So what does that look like? What exactly does that mean? That definition honestly is not super helpful. So we're going to go through a couple examples to help us understand what exactly do they mean when they say things like a carefully worded statement and the exact procedures. This is different than just telling us the steps of an experiment. So when we talk about exact procedures, I do not mean the steps of the experiment. This is something different. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So if I were to do a study and I wanted to study hyperactivity, my hypothesis may say something like this. If a child eats sugar, then they will be more hyperactive. There's my hypothesis. Perfect if-then statement. Well, what does it mean to be hyperactive? What does that look like? How do I tell if a kid is hyperactive? So what does that mean? You may look at one child and say that child is hyperactive. I may look at that same child and say that child's just a 3-year-old. So we need to be clear on what exactly that means, and this is how we figure out operational definition. So this is where operational definition is needed. So in this case, In this case, the operational definition of hyperactive might be something along the lines of the child gets out of their seat 2 or more times in a 15-minute period. So if I think back to my prior slide on the definition of operational definition, this is telling me the exact procedures. That's my goal here, right? What exactly am I studying? Exact procedures of my study. Okay, example 2, sleep deprivation. My definition of sleep deprivation and your definition of sleep deprivation, I guarantee you, are very different. I think that all teenagers should be getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep per night. We actually know that teenagers need 9.15 hours of sleep per night in order for proper brain development. As I say that, you probably laugh at me. So sleep deprivation would be anything under 9.15 hours. So right here, let's talk about this. Let's turn this into a hypothesis if-then statement. So if you are sleep deprived, then you will score poorly on your vocabulary quiz. So, well, first off, I actually have 2 things in this one, right? And that happens sometimes. In this case, I want to look at not just what does it mean to be sleep deprived, but also what does it mean to score poorly? Maybe you do better than me in school, so score poorly for you might be different than score poorly for me. So now I've got to come up with 2 operational definitions. The first is going to be for the independent variable, which is sleep deprived. So I might say sleep deprivation is where the subject receives 3 fewer hours of sleep compared to a normal night. This will allow for individuals who may get different amounts of sleep per night to still participate in my study. Because now what I'm going to say to them is, tell me on average how many hours of sleep you get per night. And if they say 6, then I know, okay, I need you to get 3 hours of sleep per night. So, or if they come back and say 9, I say, okay, you have to get 6 hours of sleep per night. So now I know what sleep deprivation means. So then the second part of this is going to be my dependent variable, and that's going to be my score on my vocabulary quiz, right? So now I have to look at what is this? Well, I may say my operational definition for the score is you have to score 10 points lower than average. And again, now I'm providing a definition for both. This now, again, thinking back to my original definition, tells me the exact procedures. So why is this important? How is operational definition important when I want to replicate the study, meaning when I want to do the study again? In order to replicate any study, you need to define the variables. I can't do your study or replicate your study if I don't know what you mean by sleep deprivation. If you don't offer this, the study can't be replicated and then therefore can't be scientifically sound.
So I hope that these examples gave you a better idea of what operational definition means. It means more than just telling me the steps. It helps me understand exactly what you did so that if I wanted to repeat your experiment, I could do that as well.